Make a U-turn. In 1,000 feet, slide left, take the next left, sharp left, turn right on, continue on, in a quarter mile, at the light, in 600 feet, turn right on.
You have reached your destination.
Okay, so today is starter switch installation day. This is native to the MGA, and it is nothing more than a spring with a contactor that will connect this to this electrically. One can either push it from inside the engine bay, and you won't get shocked, or as normal, it's connected via a cable to the inside of the cockpit, which pulls it out this way. Again, you can pull it this way or push it from the rear, and it won't shock you. Okay. Now, these things tend to go bad. I think this is a much newer one, or it's a new old stock one that has never been used, and it looks awfully pretty. I'm not going to be using this. I wanted to show you that here's another one. I'll move my multimeter in the vise. This came with my car, I think, because it's red and it's dusty. And I wanted to show you the basic operation of how it works and why I don't want to use this. Okay, so using a multimeter, you see the one there. That means it's totally open. There's no connection between the two leads. If I press the two leads together, you get 0 or somewhere thereabouts, right? When I press it on the other side, you can see that there's no connection. That being from battery to starter. This thing's not actuated. You can see the length of this this rod. It's what, half an inch, quarter of an inch, and I use a drill bit to push it, so it's easier for me to do two things. But watch, almost full deflection, and then finally it operates with a tiny bit of resistance there. So very often people ask or are intrigued by or ticked off by the fact that they're pulling the cable, they're pulling the start switch inside their cockpit, and it's not working. It doesn't actuate, it doesn't pull long enough, hard enough, or whatever. And within the guts of this, it doesn't make connection. Now, let's see, where's it? As you can see, these are just crimped on. So I've seen a couple of videos where people will uncrimp this entire piece, pull out the guts, clean the interior and the contactors of an old switch, put it all back together and call it a day. I've done that before on, I don't know where it is now, but I've got like 5 of these damn switches. And they're just nothing but a spring and, like I say, a contactor that bridges these two connections, again, from battery to starter. I'm going to pause. This is the new one. Okay, and again, you've got one big terminal here, one big terminal here, battery here, starter here, and then power, ground, or hot, one of the two. It depends on the wiring diagram. I haven't looked it up actually, but I probably should. You'll put a voltage source across here, and the electromagnet inside will bridge these two things. So with a push of a button instead of a pull of a cable, you've got a juice going to your battery. I will show you that. Okay, so here's my power source. I got it at 13.7 volts. That's roughly somewhere thereabouts of a good battery on your car. Set up here. Ground is going to the mounting bracket. That's the ground for all of this. Now that I remember better, I'll show you what the other things are. Okay, from your battery to your starter, this goes to the voltage source, and this can either or not be used, but it's a hot that goes directly to your coil when you're first starting. It apparently helps something start faster if you have a ballasted system. Okay, so here, nothing, right? Because right now there's no connection. However, listen for the click. That's all it does. And again, it electrically connects this to this. So with a merest, God dang, I got hiccups. With a merest push of a button, you've got juice going to your starter. This, I believe, is infinitely better than this. And I know that there's going to be people that talk about originality and it didn't come with the car, therefore it shouldn't go in the car, and yada yada yada. I am wanting to get away from the issues that I've seen and I've personally had on this kind of thing. My dad's got a Ford tractor with a pull start, and the same kind of a deal, and it's been nothing but problems for him. Have no issue with my Roadster. I will continue to have zero issue with my Coupe, and this is what I'm using. So I'm going to pause, and I'll show you where I plan to put it. Okay, so for the sake of this discussion, I put the thing back in. I put the starter switch back in just so you can see where it goes. And again, one side to the battery, one side to the starter. And I'm instead going to install mine probably between those two bolts right there. One, so that they're more or less, what would you call it, protected from any water or whatnot that would come down. And two, I just need a place to put it. So, there you go. And without further ado, I'll back up. With some ado, I'm going to mount it in such a way that I don't have to take the fender off to get to any bolts. And I'll show you how that'll work here in just a second. And that's done. I fear I'm going to have to perhaps notch out the fender when it mounts up to the mount here just by a skosh because of that bolt. I'm not fond of where it went to, but you'll see on the side that it was actually pretty okay. So to this, I have got, I'll just show you in a second, but I stripped off some of the paint on the rear side of this. I've already verified that the ground does in fact have continuity with the ground, and I'm good to go there. Whoops, good to go there. So, I have a common ground, which is good for this. And here's how it looks from the other side. Okay, so what you can't see from those two mounted studs, I have another bolt between the mounting flange and the actual solenoid itself. Let me see if I can show you perhaps better. Yeah, see? Okay, so if ever I need to take this off, like I say, I won't need to remove the fender or anything else to get to it, because there's a bolt there and on the other side. So, or nut rather. So this bolt is pretty much stayed and steady on the car itself, and that's handy for if I ever need to remove it, replace it, or whatever. Okay, and again, there we go. I've already mounted the battery wire, which is there, and looped it to the rear of the car, and at some point it's going to be part of the actual wiring loom and yada yada yada. So there she blows. I'm going to leave this mount point as it is. I'm not going to mess with it. And if somebody ever wants to go back to the way that things used to be, how they used to be, if ever I sell this car, why, you've got the option. But this is better. Okay, I'm going to stop just for a second and talk to you about, I didn't do this. If you have a native MGA starter with a native MGA pull cable solenoid, this is a great replacement. The native MGA starter is what's often called a crash starter. So once it gets voltage, not only does it shove the actuating, the pinion, or whatever it is, the starter gear into the flywheel, but it also starts turning at the same time. And as has been pointed out to me, this can wear down your ring gear plus a starter, and it, God knows how long it lasts in terms of thousands of miles, but my starter is a high torque starter that is put together with its own starter solenoid. So all of that work I just showed you was unnecessary. So instead, I'm going to loop a starter signal, an actuation signal to the starter solenoid that came with my starter. I'm going to deinstall what you're looking at here. I shouldn't say, that's a good learning, but I don't need what I've got here. So if you're interested in this, I'll write you out a basic wiring diagram on how to add just a push button to your MGA, and you'll have the same thing I did. I'll go into a little bit more detail in a second where I beat myself up for that wasted time. So stand by, and we'll see in a second. And here's today's job. This is hooking up the alternator to the wiring, and you can see here the alternator that I've got is listed for an MGB or a TR6 out of Moss. Dick has installed this for me, and I have a plug that I'll show you here. These two large terminals, one of these will go to the positive battery lead. It's a negative ground. That smaller one there on the left will go to the indicator to see if I am or am not charging. I also have all of this, which came with the car. I've got spares and bits and connectors and plugs and so forth. I don't think I'm actually going to need this stuff because I have this. This is the brand new wiring harness I bought from Scarborough Fair a long time ago. I think I'm going to be needing perhaps a couple of junctions because I'm going to wire this just a little bit differently. And I've also got this. As you can see, I've printed this on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 pieces of paper, and I've taped it all together so I can have a good look at what I'm doing. That is what I am replacing. So one of these leads goes to, like I said, the power, and the other one goes to, what do you say, right to the battery lead. And in my case, I plan to hook it right up to here. That's the easiest place to put it. I suppose I could put it with the, what do you call it, the control box, etc., etc. It's a dummy load for the control box, but I'm going to do it this way because I've done this in the past and it worked out really well for me. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to start in on it. These are the instructions. This is the instruction that came with the entire thing. As you can see, it's about the size of my palm. So if anybody from Moss is watching this, shame on you. You fuckers need to do better than this, because I am past my 30s and I can't read this. So I took it to my printer and blew it up and scanned it at a high resolution, and there it is. So all this is saying is a step-by-step for if you have an MGB or a TR6. There it is. MGB right there. TR6 right there. And this is kind of my forte, so I don't mind at all doing something that's a little bit not listed here. This is going to be easy for me. This is what comes with everything. I pause. Thusly, these two big puppies are the power out, and this little sucker is for the charge indicator or otherwise. You put the wires on there, you clamp them down, you will, what do you call it? What do you call it? Solder them, thank you. Put them into the plug, close the plug, and then, as Dick would say, Bob is your uncle. And here we go. And just right quick, I always take it for granted that everyone knows how to use one of these things or is familiar with the wiring diagram or whatnot. I want to show you how I would go about doing this if I were new. And I quite frankly had to come back to it to remember which wire I've got to start slicing first, okay? I want to do the power wire that goes back to the battery. So, generator, going to be alternator in my case. It's got two wires, 29 and 25. 29 is yellow with green. I've color coded that down here. You'll go down here, 29, yellow with green. 25, yellow. That might be helpful if this is an older wiring diagram or a wire and it's faded or whatnot. And then again, 29, you follow it through, goes up to here, and more or less stops. Right? I'm not sure where that goes to. How come it dead ends there? That didn't make any sense. Let's use some process of elimination. We know that one goes to the charging back God dang it, battery, the positive battery, and the other one goes to the ignition warning light. So follow the yellow around all the way through, yada yada yada, and there's 25 again. Okay, panel light, ignition warning light. I need some yellow with green to go onto the two, or the one spade that I just showed you. So I'm going to do that with some of my spare stuff, so I've got a longer length. When I start to install the rest of the wiring, I'll just put it all together so it's seamless. And again, I'm going to do this in such a way where if somebody buys this thing, they're going to be able to follow the same general wiring colors that I'm using here, that are being used here, rather. And one quick update, I decided to put an extra yellow wire just for the sake of how much power this is going to be pushing out. I think I've got a 70 amp alternator, or 66 or some such. So I do have a thick yellow and a green yellow together. And in order to put this into this sucker, oops, there you go. Fasten down one side, fasten on the other, and push it through. I'm going to solder this one as well. You can see the other one that's soldered too well. Anyway, this just gets pushed in, it clicks in place, and never comes back out. That's how easy this whole kit is. All right, that's done. I've got it tied again, like I say, to the battery side. So when the alternator turns and produces current, it'll all go back to the battery on the same line that the battery is producing. Okay, so I'm gonna beg your patience here. Do you remember that one time when I was so naive and so happy and so excited to install something that would solve all kinds of problems, namely this puppy, and in the, let's see, that side battery, that side to the starter, because you wanted a push button kind of a starter deal, and not realizing that your starter already has a goddamn solenoid, and all that work you did to drill things out and make it look nice and make sure the metal didn't rust, and on and on and on, when all you had to do was call the guy that did the engine for you and talk to him for a few minutes and have him set you straight. God dang it. Dick, bless your heart. Get a flashlight in there and I'll show you. And let's see, where's your flashlight? Okay. What you're looking at is the top of the starter. All that needs is the fat battery cable going to it, and I've also spliced in all that other stuff I talked about, the alternator, I think so, and pull this out, and down there, can you see that? Maybe not. No, I can see here. Hold on, I'm going to pause, find the damn thing. This, on the starter, is where that activation signal will go to. All the other stuff I talked about with the other solenoid and how it works, and battery in, battery out, and activation in, and etc. That's all here. On my starter, with its own solenoid. Alright, so right here center, you see the big round thing below that cable, that wire. It's the starter itself. And up there is the goddamn solenoid. So, again, I should have known better. This definitely isn't my first modern starter. I just didn't think about, well, who cares, right? Anyway, I could have wired up the way that I had it before and left that cable connected to where the battery is in now and use the starter solenoid that I've already installed. But as was pointed out to me, this is a double redundancy. It's a redundancy, right? Pan out a little bit. Anyway, so what I've done, out of the alternator, down through and on top of the starter, so that it's parallel cabled in with the red cable coming off the battery. This pink is the one that's going to be used as the activation signal, the activation voltage current. And I've used a color that I know does not show on that wiring diagram. Oh well. I shouldn't bitch or groan, but I'm just laughing at myself. It's coming up on 8:45. It's Wednesday, and I think I'm just gonna laugh at myself a little bit more. All right, finally, it's I've had a long week. Nothing goes as quickly as I'd like it to, right? So, especially with wiring, I just opened the contents of my MGA 1500 wiring kit that I bought at Scarborough Fair months ago, like in October, thinking I'd have this thing done quickly. With it comes that bag, all of this listing of from Barney's site, as well as a pack of double connector deals. So I'll go through this real quick. Cloth braided wire harness is awfully pretty, and it's very nice. I don't know what this is for, except to, maybe I'll tell you. Hang on a sec. No, never mind. I was going to look at the wiring diagram and make a listing, but I'm just tired and lazy. So this plus this, and if this, I don't remember. One of these is for the wire headlights, right? I've also got the main one that's huge, as well as a lot of the stuff that'll go to the dash. That there is a bulb holder and another small one. So given these colors here, I'm pretty sure that this one and the other one I just showed you on the bottom are for the headlights. Don't quote me on that. So without further ado, I'm going to string out the big one here, this Bubba, get it all straightened out. And by the way, this one all straightened out was what that looked like at one point after, or before it was literally cut out, and then I got to it with pieces needs. There's the old battery cable all the way to the starter, as well as some other stuff here. So at some point, and you can see where the prior owner had labeled all these things very helpfully. I just bought a new one, so here we go. So without further ado, I'm going to stretch this out, show you how it works, and it's going to go through that puppy right there. Look for the circle. There you go. I'll cut that out and put a grommet there, and that's what will pass the wiring on that side. This is as far as I've gotten. The control box. I was about to do the flasher unit, which is this. I'll just show you here. Let me pull this off. This is the flasher unit. You can see it's got spade connectors, male. These are the wires it connects to. So, and I just realized I am freaking well out of, god damn it, I'm out of spade connector female ends. I don't know why I didn't think of these things, but so I'm going to post this. I'm going to take a decent bath for once, a long one, soak my back out, and I'm going to consider moving this puppy to where it should be over here. At least that's what I'm used to with the Roadster, and certainly because a lot of these wires here go to it. I suppose I could. Yeah. So what my intention was, heater box goes here, right? I was going to put an auxiliary fuse panel either there or right here, probably right here because that's nice and easy for me, and just see what else I could do. I need to kind of plan out better where these routes go. Let me get this out of the way. I know that this main goes down in there, right? But I've got some others like double red right here. I pause. Anyhow, double red here goes to the right-hand direction indicator and stop tail lamp, and I'll show you where that comes here. Zoom out. You see where it says snap connectors there. That's what you're just looking at in double red. Red being, I'll show you here, red is 41. Snap connectors, where are they? All throughout here. And here's one of them. Red goes down to in there. And here. So there's that red. There's the number plate. That red. Is there red over here? Yeah. That red. So here's some red. Here's some red. And there's some red. This I already know goes to the front portion headlights. And again, look at blue with red, blue with white, etc., etc. And of course, it's down here where you can't see it, but headlights down in there. Okay, so obviously one wiring harness goes to the front, one to the back, and one stays in here. I remember from experience that all of these greens here And here will end up on the fuse block here, right? The white will end up on the fuse block as well. White goes to the ignition switch as well as, if I remember correctly, the fuel pump. Yeah, so I did some modifications to my Roadster. I'm going to be doing the same thing to this one, but I'm going to hook up everything and make sure everything works first before I do any modifications. So I've got my multimeter. I've got a whole bunch of wire ties. I've already done a couple of them. There's one small one right there. Another one where you can't really see it. Kind of you can. And I'm using a step-by-step guide that Barney has on his site, which is this. Okay. So it's a wire-by-wire, step-by-step as to where to hook up, why to hook up, etc., etc. I'm not going quite in order of all that stuff because I want to see where my routing is going to go, whether through the lower portion like that or whatnot, and that's going to be determined by how much slack I've got, quite honestly. So I want to do the ones I know that I'm going to be doing, and the ones that need to get done first, i.e. these puppies, and these puppies, right? All to here. This yellow and yellow with green are headed to here at some point. These two blacks go to the bottom. Again, I need female spade connectors. So you see what my dilemma is. Not a huge dilemma, but you know, having moved to right-hand drive, the wiring doesn't go quite the way that you lefters would have remembered, and I need to just figure things out a little bit. Again, this I'm going to probably put under all of this to here, or it's supposed to go here, but there's enough slack to it, so we'll see. I'm going to post this tonight. Y'all can get a gander at some of my do's, redos, and undos. And I'm going to order some stuff off of Amazon and get a spade connector, or just go to the hardware store tomorrow and pick up what I need. But you see what I'm doing. There we go. More to come.